good.
Okay, Ageless out here. Today we're going to talk about diet and how I use that to help contribute to my weight loss and recovery from the ailments that we've talked about already. When I first started this program about 4.5 years ago in the spring of 2014, I was 250 pounds and I knew I needed to get that weight off, and I needed to attack it not just with exercise but with diet as well. So I was already on a decent diet, but I was eating too much, and I was eating too many things that would contribute to fat or weight gain. Most notably, too much sugar and too much carbohydrate in my diet. I was already eating lean meats for the most part. I'm mostly a chicken, fish, turkey kind of a person. Don't eat red meat very much, don't eat ham very much or pork products. Just not crazy about them, that's why I don't eat them. And I eat eggs, so I was getting enough protein, and I was eating enough vegetables. I like salads and vegetables.
Yeah, you can tell from all the stuff that's set out here.
We have some samples of things that I use for breakfast. We'll talk about that in a second. But I was eating too much bread, pasta, potatoes. I would still drink occasional sodas, sugar sodas, not corn syrup sodas, but still sodas. And I needed to eliminate all that stuff. I also found that drinking even simple things like orange juice or even V8, which I like, has sugar in them. A lot of the breakfast juices, in particular fruit juices, are high in sugar. You have to be careful. Dried fruit is especially bad, very high in sugar. Raisins, which I love, I had to give those up. Dried apricots, prunes, all those kinds of things that are dried out. Even goji berries, which are good for you. They have a lot of antioxidants in them. They have a lot of other health benefits. Once in a blue moon, I'll put a little handful of them into a mixture of nuts. But that's as close as I come to eating dried fruit, just because of the sugar content. I already didn't drink caffeinated beverages. I didn't do any dairy food. Even if the dairy food doesn't have sweetener in it, milk sugar is a natural sugar, and that's high in sugar and not good for diabetics. So I had to eliminate those. And the grains, I basically had to eliminate them all. So that meant, well, now what do I eat? Obviously, I'm not going to eat cereal. I couldn't even eat oatmeal. Oatmeal was off the table once I started with the Help Your Diabetes program. So there are a number of pieces of literature I just wanted to show you that were helpful for me in terms of setting up a diet and a menu plan and things like that. So the Help Your Diabetes program, I just brought out a folder here. Most of this stuff is all online, but they give you a CD with the package when you sign up.
All right.
And you play that on your computer, and it'll kind of walk you through the process. And there's a website you can go to. The main contact person is Dr. J. Murray Hawkins. He's in Dallas, Texas, not far from where I lived at one time.
Yeah.
And so if you do a Google search on HYD or Help Your Diabetes and look for J. Murray Hawkins, DC, he's the guy you want to talk to or sign up with. There are regional offices that they have, but that's where the headquarters is. And those guys gave me weekly meal plans. I'd get a spreadsheet every week, and there would be a focus group that I could join and share ideas and successes and challenges that we were going through. So it was an excellent program that got me from a point where I kind of plateaued out, where my A1C was about a 5.9, 6.0 range on medication, and it got me to the point where I was able to get back into the normal range below 5.7 and around 5.5 without medication. So it was a big difference maker for me. So I highly recommend it. Not the cheapest program, but it really helps you hone in on getting off that medication.
Right.
A couple other things that I found useful. A lot of folks have heard of Dr. Amen. He's on PBS a lot with segments that talk about how to help your brain, how you feed your brain.
Okay.
And a lot of the information that's in here is also good for people that have weight loss issues or diabetics and so forth. So I highly recommend his programs as well as his book. He's done a couple of books, I believe. This was also an interesting book, The Telomere Effect. Talks about how aging either slows down or accelerates based on what you put into your body and the exercise that you do. So this is also very helpful. So what to eat? So my primary focus is on lean meat and protein sources. So I eat eggs. I also eat egg whites because there's yolk in here. There's cholesterol and carbohydrate in the yolks. So I'll take one egg and I'll mix an equal part of egg whites. I'll throw in some vegetables, some sliced peppers, or chopped peppers, some mushrooms, some
Spinach and
scallions, onions,
scallions.
spinach, things like that. You can add a little bit of chopped turkey, chopped chicken, chopped ham, even a little chopped salmon is good with it. So
Yeah,
I'll
so
use that. Usually about 5 times a week I'll have eggs with various things in them.
I usually don't have time
I don't
for
eat
eggs.
conventional cereals or cream of wheat or oatmeal or any of that stuff, but I do eat cream of buckwheat. Buckwheat is a nut. It's not a grain.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I'll put a quarter of a cup of this in a dish, throw a cup of water in there, nuke it, add some cinnamon to it, throw a few berries on top of it. Berries are okay. They're generally lower in sugar if you don't overdo it. Strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, things like that.
And the almond milk?
Since we don't do dairy, we do almond or coconut milk. So there's a lot of brands out there. Make sure you get the unsweetened kind. It should say unsweetened on the label. If it just says regular or original, if it doesn't say unsweetened, it probably has added sugar, and you don't want that.
All right.
Even if you're not diabetic, you don't want the added sugar.
Right.
Okay? So that's what we use. We use vegan cheese products because we're non-dairy around here.
Yeah.
And that's just a sampling of what I do for breakfast. I'll also eat cantaloupe. I don't eat honeydew or watermelon very much because they're a little higher in sugar. So you just have to be careful about what fruits you eat. I'll eat a banana once in a while, but they're a little higher in sugar. They're about 10, 11 grams of sugar per banana. So I try to stay in the single digits with the sugar consumption.
Right.
Pears, sometimes I'll eat half a pear or half a peach. They're not too bad. Apples you have to be careful with. Apples are high in sugar. The lowest sugar apple is a delicious apple, and some of the other varieties are way into the 20s if you eat a whole apple.
Yeah.
So a couple of slices is good. If you can share that apple with somebody else, that's okay to eat a little bit. There's still some nutritional value in them, but they are higher in sugar, so you have to be careful. Anything you add to your body in terms of carbohydrate and sugar that you're not going to burn or is going to add some risk to a diabetic condition is what you want to avoid.
All right.
Okay? As far as the other meals go, make a salad your primary meal of the day. I will often have 2 salads. Sometimes I have one at lunch and sometimes at dinner also. A lot of different greens, a lot of different vegetables on top. Be careful of the root vegetables. Carrots, radishes, parsnips, those kinds of vegetables tend to be a little starchier. A little bit's okay, but you don't want to go crazy with them because of the starch content, which again converts into sugar in your bloodstream pretty quick. So I'll eat things like cucumbers, celery, spinach, arugula. I eat a lot of kale. Iceberg lettuce, don't waste your time. There's not much nutritional value in it. It's mostly water and cellulose.
Right.
Onions are good. Scallions are good. Again, root vegetables, watch out for. Turnips is a root vegetable. You have to be careful with that one.
Potatoes.
Beets, potatoes. An occasional sweet potato is all right, but I wouldn't go crazy with those, and I'd only do that once in a while, and in small amounts.
Right.
So that's pretty much it. And then avoid frying stuff as much as you can, or if you do use a pan spray, don't put a lot of butter and things like that in there.
Yeah.
Avoid margarine. You're better off with butter than margarine. An omega-3 spread is okay. Most of what we have, we either bake or we grill.
Okay.
And we do a lot of fish, do a lot of chicken, do a lot of turkey. And red meat, if we do eat it, we try to go for the grass-fed variety that doesn't have the hormones and the pesticides and all that in it.
Right.
And pork I would also avoid. Pork is rough for people that have diabetes because of the high fat content, which also has some sugar in it too. So if you're going to eat pork, eat it sparingly or in small doses and spread it out.
All right, well, I'm running out of space, so you want to wrap this up?
That's pretty much the highlights of what you need to do in terms of meals and food.
You memorize this well, people.
And don't eat big meals either. Spread things out. If you want a snack, eat some nuts. Even a few peanuts is okay. But just be careful you don't overdo it, because there is a high calorie content. If you're working out at the gym all the time, that's fine. But if you're not, try not to overdo it with that. Eat some cut up vegetables for a snack instead.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
Thanks.